Today's story is called The Man Who Bought a Tuesday. Step right up, sir. Rarest item in the shop. What is it? A Tuesday. Like a day. Not just any day. That Tuesday. The man didn't know which Tuesday. But he bought it anyway. It cost like $3, one good memory, you know. Hey, why I don't remember my sister's face? Because that was the price. And the receipt only said, no refunds, time products might bite. Enjoy your Tuesday. It's just a normal day. You wait. At 3:17 p.m., everyone froze. The bears, the cars, even the wind. Everything except him. Oh, that's kinda cool, he thought. Then the sky blinked. Suddenly, it was always Tuesday. Every sleep, every meal, every thought. Same jokes, same song on the radio. Same stranger watching from across the street. I want to wake up to a Wednesday. You can't, you bought it Tuesday. So the man did the only thing he could. He went back to the shop. Returns? I'll give you anything. But it took something. The man forgot why he came. Forgot the shop, forgot the deal. But somewhere he still wakes up every morning. Why does today feel so familiar? Because it's a Tuesday. And it always will be. And that was a super secret story. The man who rented his shadow. There was once a guy who got tired of his shadow. Not in a poetic way, just annoyed. Everywhere he went, there it was. Copying him, mocking him. One day he said, "You ever leave me alone?" And his shadow said, "No." Hand to God. That really bothered him. So he went to a strange little shop that rented things. It's not brand name, don't worry about it. Not normal things. Things like echoes, reflections, and shadows. He said, "Hey, how much to rent my shadow?" They said, 1 month, simple price. He didn't even ask what the price was. Never does. When his shadow left, it felt amazing. It was quiet, it was clean, it's like he'd been alone for the first time in his life. But people started forgetting him. He talked to someone. They'd smile, and then 5 seconds later, they'd look confused like they'd never met him before. Without a shadow, he didn't stick the world very well. He went back and said, "Hey, I want my shadow back." And I said, "Too bad, he's busy." So he went looking. He found it in an alley, worst place to go looking for shadow. Wearing his shape better than he ever had. Talking to people, laughing like him. He said, "Hey, that's my life." The shadow said, "You aren't using it very hard." Man, when the month ended, the shadow came back. Everything looked normal again. People remembered him. The world held on to him. But something felt wrong. Because someone else had lived his days for 1 whole month. Smiled in his mirrors, slept in his bed, laughed with his voice. He looked down at his shadow and said, "Which one of us is real now?" The shadow didn't answer. Nobody else could either. And that was a super secret story. What you want from me, love story? The Boy in the Castle. There was once a boy who lived in the biggest castle in all the land. Huge place, like way too big for one boy. He was a nice boy, but he had no friends, no family. Just walls and rooms and quiet. All he had were his crops. Every day he planted them. Every day he watered them. And every day he talked to them. The crabs don't talk back, or so they say. He used to say, if only I had a companion and such. And that's exactly how he said it. And such. And one day he sat down and he cried, like real hard. If only I had a companion and such, then I could be happy and stuff. And then something strange happened. The more he cried, the more his crabs grew. Not little, like a lot. Every tear made them taller, thicker, wilder. He cried, and the castle filled up. Hallways, stairs, rooms, all swallowed by crabs. One day, he looked around and he said, no, I am a man, and men do not cry. Everybody knows that. So he grabbed his sword and he chopped them all down. Every last one. And then he took all those crabs in the town and gave them to the fairest maiden in the land. Like, what else are you gonna do with those crabs? So she looked at the pile of crabs and said, I do. Like, I do. And nobody knows what that meant. But they lived together for a while. Not forever. Because money broke them apart, and it eventually does. They both got old, and then they died. But the castle stayed empty. Still full of quiet to this day. And that was a super secret story. Just for you. The tale of Terrance Marmalade. And Terrance Marmalade loved women. All women. Every shape you could ever imagine. Tall, short, big, small, round, square. To him, equality meant beauty. Terrance also loved socks, but that's another story for a whole different sort of secret story time. One day, while shopping for socks, Terrance saw the most beautiful woman he ever laid eyes on. If she were a sock, she'd be the kind of sock he'd never take off, no matter how smelly or stretched out she ever got. So Terrance walked up and said, Bonjour, madame, with a little flair, because he heard women liked confidence and a little sass. What do I know about this? We're just mere men here. Anyway, she said, yeah, I don't really speak French. Terrance smiled and said, Parlez-vous français? Eh? Like that helped at all. I mean, she just told the guy she don't speak the language. Anyway, she said, you're really nice, but I don't understand you. She did think he was quite handsome, though. They always do. Anyway, Terrance went all in. Vous êtes belle, la perfection absolue. His French is like miles ahead of mine. I barely understand the guy, but it's okay. He told me this. He killed it. I know he did. He was playing every card in the deck. She said, I'm sorry, you have a nice day. And walked away quickly. As she should. Mostly out of confusion and mild fear. Terrance stood there. He was crushed. He was pulverized. For the first time in his life, Terrance Marmalade has found himself in a jam. And that was a super secret story. What you want from me? A sticker? Alfred and the Genie. Alfred was a daft boy. I'm talking dumb. Anyway, not evil, he's not mean, he's just confused. God have mercy on his soul. He couldn't tell his left hand from his right unless he made little L shapes with both fingers. Or whatever, you know? And even then, he wasn't always sure. So one day, he's walking to his friend Jimmy's house. And Alfred, he comes to a fork in the road. And right in the middle is a magic lamp. Alfred said, I'll bet this genie knows where Jimmy lives. So he rubbed the lamp. And before the genie could even say hello, Alfred say, "Yo, Genie, you know where my friend Jimmy live?" Genie said, "Most people ask for the three wishes." Uh, and Alfred's like, "Yeah, but I just want to know where Jimmy lives. Because this kid's dumb. Like I said, I'm telling you, he's..." Lock gets past little Alfred. Anywho, Genie said you could just wish to be delivered to, like, Jimmy's house. And Alfred's like, "Yeah, but I think he lives to the left. And if I do this..." And he held up his hands like so. "Whichever one makes the L is the left, right? Or is it the other one?" And the genie said, "But you could just wish to be at Jimmy's house and then you'd be there." And Alfred thought about it. And he said, "Yeah, but if I figured out which is my left, I'll just get there soon enough." And the genie just stared at him, and Alfred stared right back, and neither of them moved. They just stared at each other, perplexed. And that was a super secret story. You get what you pay for. You put token in, you get like, I don't understand why you're looking at me like that. Good night.